I think my first question is, I think like many people, they're surprised by the margin of victory. I think first off, there are people surprised that didn't know you, that weren't really in tune to the election, that might think, wow, he won, but the margin of victory, were you surprised by just the gap?
I think it was shocking to everybody, the margin in which we ran and we won in victory. But we had a plan in place throughout the campaign, and the results really are a result of the people coming out and letting their voice be heard, and the objectives, the plan, the strategy that we had. Everything just really came together to make this happen.
What do you think it was? I know we talked about this before, but what do you think it was that created that gap, where you won at such a large margin?
It was messaging. It was the level of engagement that we had throughout the community. Our campaign was 100% grassroots. We knew that it was going to be an uphill battle, but we knew exactly what we needed to do, and what the most important thing to do is to engage the people of Stockton. And we made every effort and took advantage of every opportunity, to really hear from the people, to understand what the fundamental needs, of the people of Stockton are, so that, we can begin the process of properly representing the people and addressing, those needs moving forward.
Have you spoken to Mayor Tubbs?
I've had email exchange with Mayor Tubbs. We do have an online virtual meeting scheduled for December 1st.
And what has been the conversation between you two, without divulging too many details? Has it been cordial? How would you characterize it?
It's been cordial. The email dialogue has been just to set up that virtual meeting. So the first conversation that I will have with them will be virtually on December 1st. And
so right now, I know speaking to Jeff a few minutes ago, he said that there's a transition team that you've put together. What will that be like? What do you hope to do here in the next month or so?
Yeah, so we've assembled our transition team, which is very important. We've gone from running a campaign now to transition and to get ready to govern. And so this is a full-time job right now. In fact, this past election since March it's been a full-time responsibility for me, and that doesn't change. We want to make sure that we meet with all the community stakeholders. We take the necessary steps to be ready to govern come the beginning of the year.
Have you got any backlash from the pro Mayor Tubbs people at all from winning?
Not at all, not at all. What we have to understand right now is that the city of Stockton is in transition right now. They're in transition of leadership. And whether you supported me or not, I'm committed to being your mayor and to understand your needs, and again, meet the fundamental needs of all Stocktonians. And because at the end of the day, our goal is to improve the quality of life for everybody in our city.
Let's talk about maybe the top three things that you'd like to see accomplished here as mayor. What would be at the top of the list right now?
Yeah, at the top of the list right now is really what we ran our campaign on, and that is doing everything we can to address the homeless crisis that we find ourselves, in our community. So right now, throughout this transition process, I'm meeting with additional community stakeholders who have been actively involved on the ground over the last several years in trying to address and combat homelessness and improve the quality of life, again, for our homeless population and all Stocktonians. So it's going to be great. It's a great opportunity for me right now through this transition to really understand what we have in place right now, where we're at right now, and how we can work together to move our community forward.
What are you learning from some of those stakeholders as far as what needs to be done, what kind of help for the homeless here?
Stakeholders all across the city, whether they're at the city level, the county level, nonprofit level, because there are a lot of incredible people in our community at the nonprofit level, even individual citizens and private organizations. The private sector have been working hard to help address the homeless crisis in our community. One of the fundamental needs right now is really a next step temporary place for our homeless population to grow. We know that we don't have a lack of resources in our community. We have just a lack of a place for them to go when they're ready to accept the hand up and take the next step toward healing in their life.
In fact, I did a story last week. Supervisor Tom Patty had come up with the idea of perhaps putting a centralized location, like you mentioned, in the city. But there was a lot of pushback by business people regarding putting it where the Stockton Record is. Is there a location that you have in mind where a homeless shelter would fit best for the city?
There's not a specific location that I have in mind. Again, it's important for me right now to make sure that I meet with all the community stakeholders. Homelessness is not only a city, a county, a state, a national issue. So it's important that we get community buy-in as well, and that everybody has a seat at the table and can be able to speak into this process. When it's all said and done, collectively, we're going to have to make a decision that is in the best interest of our community right now and for the foreseeable future when it comes to addressing this homeless crisis that we're in right now.
What would be like number 2 on your list as far as an accomplishment you're looking forward to as mayor?
Yeah, well, again, addressing the fundamental needs of our city across the board. What's important for me, it's important for me to make sure that people understand that as mayor, I'm going to focus on those needs of our residents, not my own priorities, and that's important to me because it's also important that we build bridges of trust in our community, and we reestablish that between the residents of Stockton and their elected officials.
Yeah, covering the city for 4 years now, it appears to me that, and being born and raised here, that there's this kind of north versus south mentality. There's like a separation. And there's just like this middle point. How do you unify both sides of the city to make Stockton, as the motto always used to be, someplace special?
Some people also refer to Stockton as a tale of two cities, which I see one city here within Stockton. I've had the opportunity over this last year, our campaign, to really engage the city from north, south, east to west. And there's one thing that has come across to me very clearly, is that the people of Stockton are ready to unite. That they're ready to support and get behind leadership that is going to build bridges, of trust. We are one of the most diverse cities in America, and it's important to understand that our differences and our diversity should not divide us, but it should unite us.
Have you reached out to any of those groups yet that feel that they're being left out, that feel that they're being disenfranchised from the rest of the city?
I've had the privilege to reach out to a lot of the different factions over this past year. During the campaign and even post-campaign, post-election, I've reached out to several of them as well.
So say, would there be a third, say if you had a third item on your list of things that you'd like to do, what would that be with the city? Obviously, crime, as we talked about before, is a big issue. Perhaps that's something you're locked in on. How do you change that and turn some of the statistics around?
Well, I'd say the third issue that we really need to focus on now, more so now, is our economy. It's extremely important. I don't believe that we've been able to, we haven't experienced yet the results and the impact of COVID that's had locally here in Stockton. And so we need to begin to have those discussions. And I know that our city council has been working hard. They've been working diligently with our city staff as well to ensure that our city is in a position to continue to move forward and sustain our fiscal health. But we have to make sure that we're supporting small businesses here in Stockton, as well. Small businesses, they're the lifeblood of our city, and we need to make sure that we're being as innovative, as creative as possible, so that they can continue to thrive, and we ease the burden of, as they're on the pathway, as we enter a pathway to recovery, that we ease that burden for our small businesses. So there's several discussions and conversations that, of course, need to take place.
And what can you do to help a lot of those businesses or the city? Not to put it all on your shoulders, of course. I mean, this has been going on for months now, and doing stories with some of these businesses who are just hanging on. They've had obviously layoffs. There hasn't been a lot that I've heard of that have gone under, but they're just barely hanging on by a thread. What can you do to raise them up, to keep them going?
Well, fundamentally, we have to make sure that the communication lines are wide open, you know, and that they do feel heard and they feel supported the best that, you know, we possibly can support them. So right now, there's a lot of conversations that are taking place. And again, it's important for me to continue those conversations, you know, with our city council, with the city staff, in understanding what we have in place right now. You know, there's grants that are available, you know, through the city, but we have to be innovative. We have to be creative, you know, to benchmark as well. What are other communities doing to support small businesses right here, right now? How can we adopt some of those, or how can we make the necessary adjustments so that they fit the needs of us here in Stockton?
So speaking to businesses, do you hear them saying that the city has kind of turned their back on them as they're struggling here?
Yeah, everybody's in a lot of the small businesses are in the same position. I've spoken with small business owners who have been in our community for over 20 plus 20, not 30 years. That have said, Kevin, you know, we don't know what we're going to do. I know small business owners who not only own and operate their business, but they are working another part-time position to cover some of the overhead so that they can continue to keep the Stocktonians employed that work at their small businesses. So the impacts are at every level.
But speaking to them, do they feel like they've been left out by the city? Or do they feel like they've been left out in the dark, not getting the help that they think they should get?
I haven't had any of those conversations.
No one said, hey, the city's turned their back on us. We're not getting the help that we're looking for.
Right, and I know that our city council, they want to do everything that we possibly can to support our small businesses in our community. Because the small businesses, you know, our local business, they're the lifeblood of our city.
Finally, you know, what is your message to the citizens of Stockton right now as you move forward into taking over as mayor?
Well, my message to the city of Stockton is that, you know, thank you for this great opportunity and this privilege and honor to serve you as the next mayor. I know that there are expectations, and this is not a responsibility that I will be taking lightly, and I wholeheartedly expect the people of Stockton to hold me accountable every single step of the way.
One more thing I just thought, do you think the fact that you're Republican, do you think that may be a negative to some people who are Democrat or just don't want anything to do with someone that is, you know, from an opposite party when it's a neutral position?
The mayor's office is a nonpartisan seat, and it should be treated that way. So whether you're a Republican, Democrat, or any other political party affiliation, that shouldn't factor into the decisions that are made out of the mayor's office, you know, in the city of Stockton, because all the decisions should be made that are in the best interest of the people of Stockton, not an individual or a party. And that's what I'm committed to as the next mayor of Stockton. It took a combination of individuals to put me in this position here today, Republican and Democrat and independent, everything in between, right? And so that's what my responsibility is. It's to the people of Stockton to make decisions that are in the best interests of the people of Stockton right now and for the foreseeable future. The issues that are plaguing our city that we find ourselves in, whether it's homelessness, it's crime, it's our economy, they're not Republican or Democrat issues. They're not red or blue issues. They're red, white, and blue issues. They're matter of humanity, and that's how we have to view things moving forward, and that's what I'm committed to.